a message for you, Connor. Stop thinking, man. Is that a tough question?
Well, yeah, I think my jokes are dirty jokes. Actually, I don't think they're.
Are you censoring yourself?
That's not jokes. I was just thinking, like, I know 3 jokes, and they're all.
And they're all filthy.
Do more than me.
Yeah. Nancy agrees. She also only knows filthy jokes.
You can find one that's PC.
Oh, good one, Marcelo. Good one.
That's funny. Oh dear.
I don't know.
Jokes are long. Good one, Bruno.
Let's see.
Good one, Bruno.
Loud so that they're in the recording. So a white horse walks into a bar and the barman says, "Hey, why the long face?"
Sorry.
The oldest joke.
Yeah. It's my favorite jokes are all way too long to type into the chat. So
maybe this is proof because we're doing this online, right?
Yeah.
You might have guessed by now. I don't mind if I crash and burn. I don't mind if some things don't land. I embrace the awkwardness, and I think that really helps people to relate. And that for me is part of the playfulness of life. I used to be a super sarcastic person when I was a student at university back in England. I would start with sarcasm the first time I met someone because I thought it was funny and witty, and nah, you just come across like an idiot. And people gave me feedback and I didn't listen. Years later, I've realized that it doesn't matter if you know jokes, if you can help someone to relax, if you can be an approachable person. I think I could list a number of people on one hand who I have really not got on with in my life. So I think part of helping someone to relax and be playful with you in a kind of photo setting is comfortable with yourself. And I think the days where, for me, for instance, where I don't feel comfortable with myself, if I don't sleep very well, if I have a headache, I don't know, there's something going on, something bothering me. Those are the days where I struggle a bit too much in the studio, I'll be honest. But being comfortable with yourself is a great springboard. Mate, I don't know, can you relate to that? Would you guys relate to that? I see some nodding. Yeah. Have you had times in your life when you've not been in a good place and you've struggled to deliver at work, get on with your partner, kids? Yeah, we all have our bad days, right? But for me, it's a intentional approach is to keep myself in a good place in life. Doesn't sound too idealistic at all, does it? But to work on it and to work on my photographer persona, because I'm not the most eloquent person, but I love to chat with people and to listen to them and to ask them tons of questions about themselves. I had a client in the studio today, and we got on like a house on fire, and all we'd done is exchange 2 emails and a LinkedIn message before she got to the studio. It was great fun. We had like an hour and a half chatting away about all sorts of things, life, kids, living from a different country, moving to Amsterdam, international mixes of people, colors, skin tones, all sorts of weird stuff. And I absolutely had a great time. It was wonderful. So let me check my wonderful sheet of notes over here.
Well, while you're doing that, I wanted to ask you, because I think one of the things that that if I look at what you do, that must be quite intimidating at times, is that people are hiring you to deliver the magic goods every single time. And how do you manage to keep that up and running and consistent, that kind of creative delivery, when some person you've never met before is going to walk through the door, and you've got to, they're paying you X amount of euros, and you've got to make sure that they're happy when they leave. How do you deal with that? What are your processes and your techniques to get to that point where you can deliver?
Really good question. Yeah, of course, it's a combination of all sorts of things. It's not just the working with the person, and trying to match their energy or give more energy if they're a bit lower. It's also just having muscular memory with my cameras, knowing where all the buttons are, what all the technical stuff does. So I have lighting plans in my head. I can shift stuff around. Yeah, learning to improvise. I've got to say, a friend of mine is actually an improv coach. He's written a book about this, the topic, not just improv as in terms of the thinking of stuff on the spot on the stage as an actor, but improvisation as an approach to life. Let's say when you become a parent or when you have a massive life event and you're suddenly thinking, what the heck am I going to do next? I don't know. There's no manual for these kids. Where's the off switch? Where's the volume control? What do I do? Life's a crazy roller coaster. Learning to roll with things is for me, yeah, I cherish it. I really, it's a daily process to continue to learn to improvise, but not in a purely bullshit making it up as you go along way, but improvisation as an attitude, as a accepting the reality of what is here, accepting the person who's here. I can't give someone a new personality if they're really stiff and don't want to be there, and they're making my job difficult, or they're deliberately making my job difficult, which happens sometimes. It's a challenge. I have to accept that person. I think everyone is welcome for me. So the challenge is back over to me. The ball's in my court of how can I charm them or do some terrible rubbish flirting, which is really harmless, or find a stupid tune which is going to make them giggle, or ask them a nicely, gently provocative question at the right moment, or ask them about how they fell in love with their partner, or any kind of question that can move them to a different phase.
Right. So I'm just going to pick up on the question that Bruno's asked in the chat there, where he's saying he's still not quite sure what play or activities or exercises you would recommend to get people to relax. If I'm interpreting what you're saying right, it's not so much that you do specific play or exercise things, but rather the whole approach is playful. I mean, or do you have particular? I mean, apart from the dad joke, please don't tell us that again. Or do you have specific other things that you do in order to get people to relax as well, like breathing exercises or?
Yeah, thank you, Bruno, for not giving up on that one and for repeating a question till it got through. Good one. I appreciate that a lot. Yes, of course. My whole approach is playful. Sure, I run a business; it's professional, but for me, the beauty of it is that it's playful. And yes, I do get people to do certain things in the studio which they wouldn't be doing on a normal day, as well as listening to my terrible jokes. What I try and encourage people to do is to think about how they want to communicate or what they want to communicate about themselves. How do they want to come across in the picture? And here is the good bit. Excuse me. What persona do they want to occupy? So for me, this is the playful thing, because if how do I say this? Yeah, if you haven't done any self-reflection in your life, and maybe when we're younger, it's not such a thing. We're just living. As I'm getting older now, I'm realizing that self-reflection and not just working on yourself, but figuring yourself out, figuring out what you're good and bad at and what you want to work on, it's really fun. And it's taken me to another new level in my life of enjoying the awkwardness. So I really try and help people in the studio to have a stupid little dance to the music, to think about what persona they want to occupy. Is that the right word? Occupy? Inhabit, perhaps. And it's not like it's acting, but maybe there's a little bit of that in there. It's not like it's totally performing. I still want them to be real and be them, but they're just choosing what they want to portray in that moment.
Nice. You see Nancy's doing her Rosie the Riveter impression there.
Oh, good stuff, guys.
Yeah. Dave, should we ask everyone who's here if they've got a specific question they want to ask you to pitch in with it now? Yeah, cool. So if you got a question you want to throw at Dave, give us an actual wave of the hand, or use the wavy handy thing on your Zoom, and turn yourself on. Anyone? No, we're all being shy and retiring this evening. Renee, was that a wavy hand? Yes, go for it.
Kind of. I'm trying to formulate a question after the end of a long day, but I guess as being someone kind of excited by the possibility of play, how you've given us a few kind of tips and guidelines, and I know the safety in the building rapport and having children. I have a 11 and 13-year-old, so I've kind of learned to play from them, but I guess it kind of sounds silly, but even listening to you guys being playful, and I love the work, the photography, especially because with my business there's a lot of bright and color, and you've captured that really well in the shoot I see for this. But yeah, I guess there's no manual for playing, as there is no manual for kids, but that's just the question that keeps popping up when you guys are saying, do you have questions? Yeah, how do you play? Does that sound silly?
That's a great question. Often it's the most straightforward way to ask it, right?
Yeah, I think the most important thing with play is to let go of judgment. In the same
That's a good one. I like that.
Any creative act, you've got to stop saying to yourself, "Well, I look like an idiot." That's kind of, I think, what Dave is getting at almost when he says you've got to embrace the awkwardness, both your own and what's coming back from the other person, and that becomes a dance, which is play.
That's it. Yeah,
I like that. I actually Googled the word recently. I'm like, what is play? Because I was writing a guidebook for the work that I was doing, and I was going to call it Playbook. I was playing with the word play, and I think it said doing something without having a purpose to it. So that's kind of cool way to look at it, I suppose, as well.
Right.
Thank you. Yeah,
that's a good one. All right. Thanks, Renee. Bruno, you have unmuted yourself. Let's hear it.
Just wanted to add to that. Like what would make play is just the lack of goals and rules. So play for play's sake. Whereas a game has rules, has goals. So look at football. The thing is called a goal, so it's pretty obvious.
All right, cool. Thanks for that, Bruno. Nancy?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure, because having fun can be a goal of play, right? And there are a lot of releasing stress. There are also many things that come with play. So
sure, it has a purpose.
Yeah. So I'm just fiddling around in my head with the thought that play is useless or something, or play is without a goal, because I use play every day with a goal, but it is playing.
Yeah.
So, but maybe this is more an existential thing. I don't know, but
all the better. I mean, I don't know if you guys have kids or you've been a kid. Maybe that would probably
might have been a kid once.
Yeah. Do kids have a goal when they're playing? No, they need to. They love it. They can't get enough play. They want to run around making a racket. Sure, there's some games where my kids come back from school and tell me about their gym class, and they don't include anything about reading or writing. They just love what we did in gym today. Was we threw these sacks at these little cones, and then we had to jump on the bench, and then so there was the structure to it, but they absolutely adore the things that engage them. So for me, play involves your body. So that's why I love being a portrait photographer, because I don't want someone to stand like a statue. I want them to shake their arms. I want them to loosen up, to maybe even go look in the mirror, and to look in the mirror and talk to themselves whilst they're online, to get a bit less serious with themselves. So I think this play can help us to escape ourselves a little bit, but not just escape, but enjoy being ourselves a bit more. In probably the plainest language I can think of.
But I quite like that, because it's almost like play is non-self-reflective, whereas the game requires self-consciousness because of the connection to rules and a specific outcome. Yeah. So when you say get a little bit less serious about yourself and stuff, it's about kind of almost just letting go of all of that stuff and not. Yeah, okay, I'll stop talking as well. Actually, it's fine. Thanks, man.
Yeah, sometimes just disconnecting from your internal dialogue is really helpful. Just to let loose a little bit. That's why I always stick music on. I have crazy colors, backgrounds to help provoke people, prompt people into doing something a bit more whimsical, a bit less straightforward.
Right.
And I take photographs of plants like this. There we go. Yeah.
Maybe, do you guys think it would be fun to share our process for how we took those fun pictures for the Playful Creative Summit?
We could talk about that if you'd like. Yeah.
Well, it's just because Renee was saying that it was quite playful, or that the pictures appear to be quite playful. So how do you embody that sort of playfulness? And we did have sort of like what we normally call when we come into space, which is that we went into this playpen, right? We had sort of had it bounded. So we had come up with a concept, right? First, it wasn't just like, oh, we just got in there and then these amazing pictures came out. We got together and we created this concept of the energy of play that we wanted to create first, and we made this whole collage of pictures that sort of embody this fun concept. We got the props, talked about the different places where we could do it, and then once we were there, we sort of
that all went out the window, and we started playing with fruit and stayed in the studio instead of using all the locations.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But we did have the concept of using the fruit.
Yeah.
And we had the concept of being playful with it and having that sort of like that feeling of it. The reason why I'm sharing this is because how should I say? To me, it felt like it did require a little bit of thinking of the type of play that we wanted to embody. It wasn't that we just like went in there and tried a bunch of things and then it worked. We had this kind of, it did have a sort of purpose to it. It's just that whatever happened within it was quite, unbounded. Yeah.
It's that classic interplay of in creativity between structured, rational, rule-led thinking and the more unconscious, free association thinking. At some stage of the creative process, you're going to use both. And I think what often happens in these situations is that you flick-flack quite quickly between the two. You've got a rationalization, you've got a plan, you step into a space, something unexpected happens, you run with it until it gets to a point where like, whoa, where's the plan? And then you rethink, and then and that can be pretty hard to do if you're not in a safe space, if the environment doesn't hold it. And I think that's what is so cool about what Dave does, is he's really good at holding that space.
And also the energy that we had, right? Because in other words, we were sort of like bouncing the energy between each other, right? Like you were very funny, and then that would make me laugh, and then Dave was really fun at capturing those moments where we would laugh or we would feel the play energy, right? So it's nice. It really felt like this sort of energy between the three of us, not just like one person and the camera, right? But it was, we were sort of in this unique playpen that was super fun.
Cool. Hey, Connor, you've been very quiet sitting over there. Have you got anything you want to ask?
Yeah, I got a question. Actually, it came up when you guys were talking about your photo shoot. Dave, are there times where it goes the other way? That you find that you're playing too much and you lose focus on what you're supposed to be paying attention to? And how do you deal with that?
Great question, man. Yeah, very perceptive. Absolutely, yeah. I don't know if you've just read my mind somehow, but that is the pitfall, especially for me. Yeah, I really enjoy, if we have to be on the clock, if I'm enjoying myself, I can easily go over time. If I don't have an organizer there with a clipboard and a shot list of 20 things I need to get covered, then I can forget to do some things. So it's a case of, I need some visual reminders. I'll make a plan with a client at the start. if it's needed for a structured shoot, let's say, for a brand or something. So we'll have a kind of reference list to go to, whether that's on screen or paper or whatever, or just verbally. But yeah, it's a case of sticking to that structure enough, but also mostly playing enough to actually get the results. So yeah, of course, there's a tension between those things. But when you were just talking then, Ali and David, the word for me is experimentation. If you think you can lock it down, lock your results down in whatever thing you do in your life, for work, for whatever we're talking about here, a playful situation. If you think you can lock the results down in advance completely, I'd be amazed. I certainly can't. I know, David, you'll know, especially, we have some similarities, but you're more structured, you're more organized, you're more thorough than me. I'm way much more of a improv person, enthusiasm, and yes, I've done some of these things before, but on the spot, what happens in that moment is often the driving force of the results. So yeah, experimentation for me is absolutely vital, and that comes along with being free, feeling playful, giving yourself that space. And I find myself feeling so grateful that I call what I do work, and it is with a purpose. It can give people really cool visuals. It's not just skin deep pictures of beautiful models. That's not really my thing anyway. It's actual useful portraits of people, and the process to get towards those portraits hopefully is a nice step in their journey to self-awareness. Another part of their self-reflection, their self-awareness process, let's say.
Cool. Thanks, Dave. Sharon, do you have any last thoughts? Question?
Well, when you were talking about making people feel comfortable, I've done psychic readings for people in the past, and that's a big part of it, is making them feel comfortable, because otherwise they close up and you can't read for them and they're afraid of what you're going to say. So making them feel comfortable and creating a comfortable setting, whether it's mystical or playful, that really helps.
Cool. Thanks, Sharon. And we've got a couple of non-video travelers here. Jacqueline, Diane, Judith, Letitia. Any of you want to share a thought or ask a last question?
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about this. It's, you're all very playful, and sometimes just letting people be, even if they are. I once had an assignment. I went to art school, and one of the best assignments was we were asked to go and photograph someone that we had a confrontation with. And that was amazing. That was really amazing. And I immediately thought of this guy that fixed my bike and was so fucking rude to me because there's a Dutchman. So I went back to this guy and I said, hey, hi, I don't know if you remember me, but, I was in here last week and we had a really strange situation. And, I had to think of you because I was asked to photograph someone that I had a confrontation with. And he was so flattered. He was so flattered. And I got this great shot of this asshole standing there, and I flashed him like full on, boom, and he standing with all his bikes behind him. And I've just got this look of him so flattered about being an asshole. I just love that portrait,
I have to say, I heard asshole, shot off, and flashed, and my mind was going weird places. But
right. I'm gonna have to mute Dave in a moment.
I'm sorry. But anyway, it was. Sometimes I like to make pictures of people that help me understand who they are, and just letting them be in their space. But that's something else. That's something else. Maybe I'm just not playful, and maybe that's why I'm here. Is I need to learn how to be more playful.
We can absolutely all learn from each other. That's amazing. I think sometimes tension does play a role. You don't always have to be super comfortable. Yeah. Sometimes the goal could be, let's make a squeaky bum time picture. If you know the reference, that one. It's awkward. There's tension, and you want to reflect that, whether that's for an ad campaign or it's documentary or whatever field of
or just who that person was at that moment.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah. Thanks, Jacqueline. And thanks, Dave, for sharing your insights and your methodology and your playful nature with us. Your website. Do you want to type your web address into the chat so everyone can check that out afterwards? Thanks everyone for coming along and for taking part and contributing and asking difficult questions and actually turning up on a night like this. We're pretty impressed that so many people actually came along to play. The next pop-up will be on Wednesday, the 2nd of December with Judith, who is one of our attendees this evening as well. So yeah, you will be getting messages about that, and you will see us on social media with the links and what have you. So keep an eye out for that. And Alia, you've got something to say as well.
I do. Well, now I have forgotten what I'm supposed to say.
Something about a workshop that you're offering.
I got so engaged in it. Yeah, so I'm for those of you who have online courses or online products, I'm offering a gamification workshop later this month, and if that's interesting to you, I will pop it in the chat a bit later or send it via email. I have all of your names, so you will be receiving the information to, I think we have one person that attended late, which is Letitia. I hope I said your name correctly, but everyone who attended the call today live gets access to this year's Playful Creative Summit. So I will be sending those via email. Anything else?
Oh, I also just wanted to say I'm still offering these 30-minute unsticking sessions. So if you have a particular challenge or a thing you're trying to work out in your life, in your work life, or creatively, or what have you, and you are just stuck, you can book 30 minutes with me, and I'll mess with your head and see if we can get you unstuck.
Love it.
Well, let's not see if I will get you unstuck. I can almost guarantee it. And so I'm just popping my Calendly link into the chat there. So all you have to do is click on that, pick a date, and you will automatically get the Zoom link once you pick your date, and we'll have a chat. All right.
Thank you so much for coming, everyone. It's really good to have you all.
Yes.
Shall we play a game?
Well, we've got 4 minutes. How long is the game?
Very short. It's Office Twister. So, for instance, put your left hand on white, and then you put somewhere your left hand on something white in your close nearby.
All right.
Right hand on green.
The grey is actually green.
Yeah, I believe you. I believe you. Next one is left foot on black.
I can't get my foot up my ass.
Okay, and the final one, put your nose on the camera.
Oh.
Yeah. We don't bend like that anymore.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Now we're all warmed up and ready to go to bed. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending. It's been a lot of fun. I hope to see you next time when Judith is going to be sharing some interesting thoughts about Mavericks and Maverick leadership. So keep an eye out for that one. And stay safe and keep it playful and creative.
Yep, indeed. Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Bye.
Guys.